Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Huntington Center in Toledo, Ohio. And this was Monday Night Raw's go-home show for the Royal Rumble, which is this Saturday. And Monday Night Raw tonight, in my opinion, it was just a in-the-middle show. It was a so-so show. And when I mean so-so, I mean the wrestling on the show tonight was good. And aside from that, you still had some stuff that were shit on the show, or just came off as very meh. So overall, Monday Night Raw was a so-so show tonight. In the middle show. But as a go-home show, WWE, once again, as always, does absolutely nothing to get you hyped up for the pay-per-view this Saturday. So, go-home show did nothing. But what do we see on the show tonight? Of course, we had the academic challenge between the Alpha Academy and RK Bro. And it was a spelling bee. And I'm like, really? A spelling bee? And then we saw Bianca Belair versus Queen Zelina Vega. We had Kevin Owens versus Damian Priest once again, but the United States Championship was on the line. We had a 6-woman tag team match where it was Rhea Ripley, Dana Brooke, and Liv Morgan versus Carmella, Tamina, and Nikki A.S.H, which this match was a waste of time. What are these women fighting over, except for Rhea Ripley and Nikki? The other woman in the match, Dana Brooke, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Tamina. What were they fighting over? What were they all fighting over? Absolutely nothing. And then we had AJ Styles versus Austin Theory, which this match was the best match of the night on the show. And of course, we had the Maurice birthday celebration, which was the main event of the show. Oh boy, wait until I get to talking about that. Well, Monday Night Raw, just a so-so show tonight. But let's get right into the review. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce was in the ring for the weigh-in between Brock Lesnar and the Almighty Bobby Lashley. The weigh-in for their WWE Championship match at the Royal Rumble. So, Adam Pearce ended up introducing Bobby Lashley. So, Bobby Lashley ended up coming out along with MVP. Corey Graves was in the ring. Forgot to mention Corey Graves was standing with Adam Pearce in the ring. So, then we saw footage of Lashley training for his match against Brock Lesnar. You know, it was on WWE's social media, which they posted on Saturday. So Corey Graves then ended up introducing Brock Lesnar. But of course, Paul Heyman ended up coming out. He made his way to the stage. Paul Heyman ended up saying that he is so tired of everyone stealing his shtick, especially when they can't do it half as good as he does. You know, his whole shtick where he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman." You all know that. So, Paul Heyman ended up doing his introduction for Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar ended up coming out. Lesnar came out and he was wearing a cowboy hat. And when Brock Lesnar came out and I saw him with the cowboy hat, all I could just think of was the song "Like a Rhinestone Cowboy." That's all I thought of when Brock Lesnar came out wearing the cowboy hat. Just that song played in my head. So he ended up handing the WWE Championship to Paul Heyman. He ended up heading to the ring. Corey Graves wasn't sure if Brock Lesnar was wearing appropriate attire for this weigh-in. So Brock Lesnar ended up asking Corey Graves if he wants him to get naked. And then he ended up saying, let's just carry on with the weigh-in. I'm sure nobody wanted to see Brock Lesnar get naked. So Corey Graves ended up asking Bobby Lashley to step on the scale. So Lashley ended up stepping on the scale. Lashley weighed in at 273 pounds. MVP then went on to say that's 273 pounds of an almighty killing machine, closer to a god than a man. You know what I'm saying? 273 pounds of bottled lightning Brock Lesnar will have to deal with at the Rumble this Saturday. So Corey Graves ended up asking Brock Lesnar to step on the scale next. So Corey Graves ended up encouraging Brock Lesnar to remove some of his clothing. Brock Lesnar ended up giving Paul Heyman his cowboy hat, and that was all that he did. He just gave Paul Heyman his cowboy hat, and that was that. So Brock Lesnar ended up stepping on the scale. Lesnar weighed in at 286 pounds. Bobby Lashley ended up saying that this is pissing him off, and that Brock Lesnar thinks this is funny. Bobby Lashley ended up saying that Brock Lesnar is acting like a fool because he knows he will beat him for the WWE Championship. He ended up saying that this will be the shortest title run of Lesnar's entire career. And so Bobby Lashley ended up saying, oh, that's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. So Brock Lesnar ended up asking, who's the comedian now? Brock Lesnar then ended up taunting Lashley. He ended up dropping the mic. And pretty much that was basically that. But did we really need this weigh-in? Do we really need it? No, in my opinion. But it was funny seeing Brock Lesnar come out with wearing the cowboy hat. So yeah, I like this version of Brock Lesnar. This is the Brock Lesnar that we should get, that we should have gotten years back, like when Paul Heyman was on the mic and being the mouthpiece to Brock Lesnar when Brock Lesnar didn't even say a thing. That is the Brock Lesnar that we should have gotten, at that time. But really liking this Brock Lesnar. I have the little Gatorade. So, but overall, this opening segment to Monday Night Raw, it was just very meh, in my opinion. Did we really need the weigh-in? And then we had Bianca Belair versus Queen Zelina Vega. Bianca Belair ended up coming out first. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from commercial, Queen Zelina Vega ended up making her way out. And we had a pre-recorded video with Vega in her accent, her stupid accent that she should drop. Every time she does that accent is absolutely fucking awful. It's time for her to drop that accent. So she ended up saying about how she will win the Rumble and she will win at WrestleMania. Her doing the accent. That was all that she was doing in this pre-recorded video. That's how she sounds with the accent. But this match was awful. This match was absolutely awful. Bianca Belair scoops Zelina Vega up, and she ended up placing Vega on the apron, and she was taunting Zelina Vega, blowing a kiss at her. Belair ended up ragdolling Zelina Vega back into the ring and slammed her. Bianca kept control of the match and nailed a dropkick. And Vega ended up countering a suplex with a stunner in the middle of the ring. Zelina Vega started working on Bianca Belair over in the corner. Vega delivered a royal knee to Bianca. So Vega ended up bowing down to the crowd, and boos rang out from the crowd to Vega. So Vega ended up sending Belair into the turnbuckles, and it was back and forth between the both of them. Bianca ended up pressing Vega high in the air, and then brought her down to the middle of the ring. So we had, later on, Bianca ended up going for a moonsault, and Vega ended up getting her knees up. Vega was looking to capitalize and deliver the code red to Bianca, but Bianca ended up blocking the code red, and she went right into the KOD on Vega, which Bianca ended up delivering. So Bianca ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Bianca Belair ended up winning the match. Overall, match was terrible. Match was awful. So then we had Kevin Owens backstage with Kevin Patrick. We saw how Kevin Owens ended up defeating Damian Priest last week, which was Damian Priest's first loss as United States Champion. Ever since he won the United States Championship, he has not had one loss until last week, when Kevin Owens ended up defeating him. So Kevin Owens got insulted by Kevin Patrick, saying that he faked an injury last week. Owens ended up saying that he just kept fighting through the pain, and now he gets a United States Championship match opportunity because of that. And he will do the same until he's the United States Champion. So Kevin Owens ended up walking off, and that was that. And then we had Kevin Owens versus Damian Priest, United States Championship on the line. Damian Priest ended up coming out first, and then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Kevin Owens was already in the ring. The match started with Damian Priest immediately blocking the stunner from Kevin Owens. He ended up taking Owens into the corner. Owens unloaded with some strikes and chops to Damian Priest, and Priest ended up turning that around with some rights and lefts. Owens ended up going for Priest's leg, and Priest ended up rocking Kevin Owens, ended up fighting out in the corner. Kevin Owens ended up getting the upper hand. He ended up dropping Damian Priest and nailed a senton and a elbow drop to Priest. So Priest ended up blocking the corner cannonball from Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ended up escaping a chokeslam attempt, but Priest ended up sending him out to the floor. Priest ran the ropes, and Owens ended up going out to the floor for a breather. Priest kept control of the match, but Owens ended up super kicking Damian Priest on the apron, which sent him back to the floor. Owens ended up going for a cannonball from the apron to the floor, but Damian Priest ended up getting his knees up, and Owens landed hard on that. Damian Priest then ended up dropping Kevin Owens over the edge of the apron. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Kevin Owens ended up avoiding a broken arrow. Priest ended up leveling Owens for a close 2 count. Priest ended up taking Owens to the top turnbuckle, ended up rocking him with a right hand. Owens ended up fighting back. He delivered a headbutt to knock Damian Priest down. Owens delivered the Tornado DDT. Owens then went up to the top. He delivered a frog splash to Damian Priest. He ended up going for the cover. Priest ended up kicking out, and Owens couldn't believe that. He couldn't believe that Priest kicked out of a frog splash. So Priest ended up blocking a pop-up powerbomb by Kevin Owens, and he nailed a big boot to Owens. So Priest was showing some frustration. Owens was selling an arm injury. Priest ended up attacking Kevin Owens because Priest wasn't buying that Owens was selling the injury of his arm. So Owens ended up rolling to the apron. He dropped Damian Priest over the top rope, and he rolled him with a handful of tights, and Damian Priest ended up kicking out. Priest ended up blocking the stunner. He ended up dropping Kevin Owens. And then, of course, Damian Priest snapped as here, he turns into the Hulk. So, or the Damian comes out of him. So Priest started unloaded with some kicks in the corner. The referee was warning Damian Priest, so Damian Priest backed off. He went and attacked Owens again. Priest kept on pounding on Owens, and the referee ended up calling for the match. So Kevin Owens ended up winning the match by disqualification, and Damian Priest is still the United States champion. So, and that was that. Overall, it was a good match, but lame ending, in my opinion. And then we saw pre-recorded promos with Rhea Ripley and Dana Brooke and Liv Morgan talking about how they will win the Women's Rumble. Yeah, Dana Brooke, forget about it. She's not winning the Rumble. Rhea Ripley, who knows if Rhea Ripley's going to win the Women's Rumble. Do I see it? It's a possibility. And Liv Morgan, who knows? Liv Morgan could possibly win the Rumble too. But a lot of people online are saying, oh, Bianca Belair, she might win the Women's Rumble for a second year in a row. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Bianca Belair winning the Rumble for a second year. I don't. So Liv Morgan, I could see win the Rumble, or WWE could absolutely, be stupid and go with Bianca Belair winning the Rumble for a second year in a row. Do you realize that if either Liv Morgan or Bianca Belair, if those two women win the Rumble, we're going to begin a rematch with them versus Becky Lynch. Either one of them. Whether it be Liv Morgan or Bianca Belair, we're going to be seeing either one, if they win the Rumble, in a rematch against Becky Lynch for the Royal Women's Championship at WrestleMania. Yeah, that's what we're going to see. If either Liv Morgan or Bianca Belair wins the Rumble. Because Becky Lynch ran through the entire Raw Women's division. Who is there else for Becky Lynch to fight for the title? So there you go. If WWE makes Bianca Belair or Liv Morgan win the Rumble, we're going to be in a rematch with either Bianca Belair or Liv Morgan against Becky Lynch at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship. It's going to happen if WWE does that. You already know that they're going to do it. So get ready for that. Then we had a 6-woman tag team match. Rhea Ripley, Dana Brooke, and Liv Morgan versus Carmella, Tamina, and Nikki A.S.H. This was an absolute waste of time. This was a waste of time. What were these women fighting over? Except for Rhea Ripley and Nikki, because, of course, Rhea Ripley has her little feud there with Nikki after Nikki ended up turning on Rhea Ripley. So, we see that there. But Dana Brooke, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Tamina, what were they fighting over? Absolutely nothing. So, of course, with Dana Brooke in the match, the 24/7 rules was suspended. Who gives a shit? And so, we saw Sonya Deville backstage. She was yelling at Damian Priest. She was telling Damian Priest to get his emotions under control while in matches or face the consequences. So, of course, I guess Sonya Deville was talking about Damian Priest, him turning into the Hulk. With the whole Damian thing, that Damian comes out of Priest. So, but overall, this 6-woman tag was a waste of time. So we had Rhea Ripley end up coming out first, then Dana Brooke, and then we had Carmella end up coming out, followed by Tamina, and then Nikki end up joining them. We had pre-recorded backstage promos from Tamina, Carmella, and Nikki talking about how they will win the Rumble. They are not win the Rumble. they aren't. So we had Dana Brooke and Tamina end up starting off the match. Tamina ended up dropping Dana Brooke, and Tamina ragdolled Dana Brooke on the mat. Brooke ended up fighting up, and Brooke countered and tagged in Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley ended up drop kicking Tamina, knocked some of the others off the apron. Tamina and Rhea Ripley end up going at it. Rhea Ripley ended up nailing the clothesline to Tamina, and she delivered a basement drop kick to Tamina. Rhea Ripley did a spin kick and a Northern Lights suplex. Carmella ended up breaking up the pin. So Carmella ended up tagging in. She ended up slapping around Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley ended up ragdolling Carmella into the prison trap. Carmella ended up tapping out. So there you go. Rhea Ripley, Dana Brooke, and Liv Morgan ended up winning the match. This was a waste of time, and this match made absolutely no sense. Why was this match even booked on the show tonight? What were these women fighting over? Absolutely nothing. Oh, just because they're in the Women's Rumble. And then we had the academic challenge between the Alpha Academy and RK Bro. So this was a academic challenge spelling bee. Kevin Patrick was hosting the academic challenge, and this whole academic challenge will determine if RK Bro, if Randy Orton and Matt Riddle get a rematch for the Raw Tag Team titles. So Chad Gable ends up insulting the crowd. The crowd ends up chanting, "You suck," to Gable. And Gable ends up announcing that he and Owens will be in the men's Royal Rumble. So I want to say, who will get eliminated first? Whether it be, the big guys, whether it be Otis or Omos. Of either Otis or Omos, who will be eliminated first? It would be Otis. Tell you that. So we had Chad Gable end up promising that one of them will win the Rumble and headline WrestleMania. Kevin Patrick ended up introducing Orton and Matt Riddle, and Orton and Riddle end up coming out. Kevin Patrick ended up saying that the winner of this competition will get to pick the competition for next week. So they were just spelling some words where we had Chad Gable. He ended up getting the word disillusion wrong after passing on Kevin Patrick's pronunciation of the word. And we had Orton end up spelling dumbbell correct. Riddle ended up spelling collaboration. So Orton and Gable, they end up having some words. Orton threatened to hit Gable with the RKO. And that was that. It was just a spelling bee. And I'm like, am I watching a pro wrestling show, or am I watching a assembly with kids trying to do a spelling bee? But only they're not kids, they're adults. That's why I said when I watched the segment, am I watching a pro wrestling show, or am I watching an assembly with adults trying to be kids having a spelling bee? This was awful. This segment was awful. And then we had Randy Orton versus Chad Gable. Good match, but how many times have we seen this? We've seen this before with Orton and Gable. So the match started, we had Chad Gable end up locking up with Randy Orton. So it was back and forth between the both of them. Orton mounted some offense on Gable. Gable ended up nailing 2 arm drags to Orton. Orton ended up blocking the arm drag from Gable. Gable ended up blocking the RKO. And he retreated out to the floor. Gable ended up coming back to the ring. Orton went to work on Gable's arm. Gable ended up taking Orton down to the mat. Ended up sending him retreating out to the floor. Gable ended up throwing Orton from the ring. So Gable ended up beating Orton into the corner as Orton ended up returning back into the ring. Orton ended up nailing the uppercut in the corner to Chad Gable, and he ended up leveling Gable with a back elbow, sending him back to the floor to take another breather. So we had Gable later on. He ended up taking advantage of the match. He ended up taking Orton down with a chop block. He then went up to the top for a moonsault. He ended up nailing the moonsault on Orton. He went for the cover, and Orton kicked out at 2, and Chad Gable couldn't believe that. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Gable focusing on Orton's knee. Orton ended up coming out of the clothesline and delivered a clothesline of his own. So we had Chad Gable end up counter move, and Orton ended up hitting a backbreaker in the middle of the ring. There was a point where Riddle ended up running over to stop Otis from interfering, and Otis ended up launching Riddle on the floor. He ended up throwing Riddle, like suplexing him on the floor. So Gable ended up backsliding Orton for a 2 count. Orton ended up coming back with a power slam to Chad Gable, and Orton couldn't make the pin. And we had Riddle end up grabbing his scooter. He ended up smacking Otis in the back with the scooter to distract Chad Gable, which Orton ended up managing to break out of the ankle lock because Gable ended up having Orton in the ankle lock. So Orton managed to break out of it. He ended up tossing Gable into the turnbuckles, and then he dropped Gable with the RKO, and he went for the cover, and there you go. Randy Orton ended up winning the match. Post-match, Riddle got on the mic. He ended up saying that the challenge for next week in this academic challenge will be a trip back to gym class for an old-fashioned scooter race. So a scooter race will be the challenge for next week between RK Bro and the Alpha Academy. Already, this is sounding awful. But overall, Orton versus Chad Gable, good match, but we've seen it before with them. And then we had Alexa Bliss and this whole therapy thing that she's doing with this therapist, her journey back to Monday Night Raw. So the therapist ended up saying that he thinks Alexa Bliss is actually making progress. So the therapist ended up asking a question to Alexa Bliss. His question was to her, when was the first time Alexa ever met Lily? So Alexa ended up going on about how Lily has always been in her life, going back to when she was 6 years old, and how she was bullied on the playground by 2 teenage girls. She ended up saying that she was pushed off the monkey bars. She hit her head and went unconscious. And she ended up saying that when she came to, Lily was there. So Alexa ended up telling the therapist that her and Lily started hanging out that day, getting candy and ice cream. So Alexa kept rambling about eating candy with Lily, and the segment ended right there. Still absolutely awful with this segment. And there was news that came out today that WWE trademarked Goddess. So we're going to be seeing Alexa Bliss going back to her being the Goddess. Hopefully we see that at the Royal Rumble, if she's in the Women's Rumble, which she probably will. So hopefully we get to see the Goddess back in the Women's Rumble. You know, Alexa Bliss going back to being the Goddess. So, and then we had footage of Austin Theory in Vince McMahon's office early in the day. Vince ended up commenting on how Austin Theory is feeling with what's happened as of late. So Vince ended up commenting on Theory's selfies. Theory ended up saying that it felt pretty good to destroy Balor, just like Vince asked him to. Austin Theory ended up saying that he's going to win the Royal Rumble and then challenge the champion of his choosing at WrestleMania. Vince ended up saying, "That's amazing." Austin Theory ended up hinting at Vince possibly giving him a later number in the Rumble. And Vince ended up asking, "Why would you think you have any kind of influence over the Rumble entry numbers?" Vince ended up saying now Theory should be concerned about tonight's opponent, AJ Styles. Theory ended up asking if that's the same Styles that held numerous titles and is a first ballot Hall of Famer. So Vince ended up agreeing with the future Hall of Fame induction. He ended up saying that's the AJ. Austin Theory ended up saying that he's ready for Styles, and he ended up leaving. And Vince ended up saying that Theory forgot his phone. So Vince ended up handing the phone over to Theory. He ended up saying to Theory that he better bring back a very good selfie. And that was basically that. And then we had AJ Styles versus Austin Theory, which this was the best match of the night. This was a very good matchup here between Styles and Theory. So we had Styles end up coming out first. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, of course we had another coming soon vignette for Veer Mahan. When is he coming? Hopefully he's coming at the Rumble. Hopefully he will be in the Men's Rumble. If not, what are they doing with Veer Mahan? Is he coming soon? Or what? So we had Austin Theory end up making his way out to the ring. So Theory ended up taking a selfie. So the match ended up starting. Theory ended up backing Styles into the corner. And they both end up locking up. Styles ended up taking Theory into the corner. Theory ended up backing off, started flexing to taunt Styles. Styles ended up applying a headlock to Theory. Styles kept the headlock applied on Theory. Styles ended up rolling Theory up for a 2 count. Styles went for another pin attempt and another. Styles ended up delivering a drop kick to Theory, which sent him out to the floor. Styles launched himself over the top rope and delivered a crossbody, taking Theory down on the floor. And Styles ended up bringing Theory back to the ring, started working on Theory in the corner. Styles ended up catching a kick by Theory, but Theory ended up nailing a left hand to Styles. So Theory ended up suckering Styles into the corner, sent him face first into the turnbuckles. Theory ended up working Styles over on the mat, and Theory ended up scooping Styles up for a brainbuster, and he went for the cover. Styles ended up kicking out at 2, because Styles ended up having his feet on the ropes. So Styles ended up turning it back around in the corner, started chomping away at Theory. Styles ended up kicking Theory and ended up dropping a knee into his forehead. He went for the cover. Theory kicked out at 2. Styles delivered a snap suplex, and he went for another cover. Theory kicked out at 2. Theory ended up dropping Styles over the top rope. He started stomping to keep Styles down. So later on, we had Theory deliver a big backbreaker to Styles in the middle of the ring. He went for the cover. Styles kicked out at 2. We had Styles end up nailing a moonsault into an inverted DDT from the corner to Theory, which was pretty cool. And then Styles delivered a clothesline to Theory. Theory ended up kicking him, and Styles kept fighting. Styles then delivered a suplex into a neck breaker, and then the sliding forearm on Theory, and he went for the cover. Theory ended up kicking out at 2. So we had Theory end up sliding off Styles' shoulders. He ended up rocking Styles with some elbows, and then he delivered a belly-to-back suplex. Theory went for the cover, and Styles ended up kicking out at 2. So we had Theory end up blocking the Styles Clash. Styles end up blocking the ATL. And Styles goes into the Calf Crusher, and Theory end up getting to the bottom rope to break up the Calf Crusher. Styles then end up springboarding up for the Phenomenal Forearm. Theory end up pushing the rope, and Styles end up going down. So Styles end up kicking Theory, and he nailed the Phenomenal Forearm. And he went for the cover, and there you go. Styles ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a good match. This was the best match of the night on the show. The wrestling was very good here from both Styles and Austin Theory. Just an enjoyable match. And then we saw Becky Lynch and Dewdrop. They were on an interview. It was a split screen interview. Dewdrop ended up entering the room where Becky was in, and a brawl broke out between the two of them. Officials end up separating them, and that was that. So we're going to see Dewdrop versus Becky Lynch, Royal Women's Championship match this Saturday at the Rumble, which Becky Lynch, of course, is going to retain the title. And then we saw Sarah Schreiber. Sarah Schreiber was backstage with the Mysterios, Rey and Dominik. Rey ended up telling Sarah Schreiber about what an honor it is to be a WWE 2K22 cover superstar. Yes, Rey Mysterio is going to be on the cover of 2K22. And hopefully 2K22 is a much better game than the disaster that 2K20 was. 2K20 was an absolutely awful fucking game. That game was a disaster. Hopefully 2K learned from their problems with 2K20, and 2K21 will be a much better game. But knowing 2K, it'll probably still have the same problems. But we'll see. But it's cool that Rey Mysterio is on the cover of 2K22, which a lot of people made a big deal out of, saying, oh, why is Rey Mysterio on the cover? Who cares? Who cares if Rey is on the cover? People bitching about, oh, why is he on the cover? So Rey ended up saying that it would make him proud to see his son on the cover one day. Dominik ended up saying that to achieve that, he needs to cement his legacy. And that begins this weekend when he wins the Rumble. So Rey and Dominik end up joking around about eliminating each other, which we saw that last week. So no surprise if we see Rey or Dominik eliminating each other in the Rumble. And then we had the Street Profits versus the Mysterios, which we already saw this match. It was an okay matchup here. The Mysterios end up getting the win. But post-match, we had Rey and Dominik. They were standing tall in the ring. Dominik ended up trying to dump Rey over the top rope, but Rey ended up sending Dominik out to the floor. Montez Ford ended up dumping Rey over the top rope. Dawkins ended up dumping Ford over the top rope. And then Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode then end up coming into the ring, and they end up tossing Dawkins out. So Ziggler and Roode end up celebrating, and Rey and Dominik end up in the ring. A brawl broke out. So the Mysterios and the Street Profits end up dumping Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode out of the ring. And that was that. And then we saw Seth Rollins backstage with Kevin Patrick. Rollins ended up saying that he likes his odds for his match against the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, because he's beaten Reigns before, and this is one-on-one. Rollins ended up saying that Reigns knows he has his number, and that Rollins is the only one who can put Reigns in his place. Rollins ended up saying that he will be making one more trip to SmackDown this Friday to deliver his message in person to the Tribal Chief. So there you go. We're going to see Rollins on SmackDown this Friday again, delivering his message to the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. And then we had the main event segment, which was Maurice's birthday celebration. So The Miz ended up coming out to host this celebration for his wife. And Maurice's birthday was this past Friday, which she turned 39. So there was a table with presents set in the ring. A cake was also in there. There was several photos of Miz and Maurice in there on display. There was also a large box that was in golden wrapping paper. It looked like the box to hide a person in. So The Miz was all smiles. He ended up checking everything out. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, The Miz was surrounded by his birthday decorations and gifts for his wife. So The Miz ended up welcoming us to Maurice's birthday extravaganza. He ended up saying tonight we celebrate his wife. And he ended up saying Saturday we celebrate the Ip couple, defeating the Grit couple, Edge and Beth Phoenix. So Miz ended up giving an introduction for his wife, and out came Maurice. Maurice ended up heading to the ring, and the ring was surrounded by security on the outside. So Maurice got into the ring. Miz ended up calling for a drum roll. Maurice then ended up revealing the first gift. And it was a photo. It was a painting of her and The Miz. So Maurice ended up talking about how she's made him feel more special than ever. Miz ended up mentioning how he paid top dollar for security to make sure this birthday bash isn't crashed. Oh, of course it's going to be crashed. You already know where it's going to be headed. So Miz ended up handing Maurice a smaller gift. So in that gift, it was a purse. And the purse was covered in stones. And it said, "No limit." He ended up saying that because there are no limits to their love. So Maurice ended up wanting the huge gold gift. So Miz ended up saying, "Oh, I didn't get you that gift." He ended up saying that he thought it was something she got for him. So the Miz was now paranoid. So he ended up calling security to come into the ring and open the gift. So one guy came in and just tore open the gift. And inside of the gift was the same brick that Maurice had in her purse when she hit Beth Phoenix with it last week. So the Miz ended up laughing. He ended up bragging. He was like, "Oh, you all thought that somebody was hiding in that gift to attack, or destroy the extravaganza." So, of course, they had to show us a replay of what happened last week, where Edge and The Miz were battling on the outside, and Maurice ended up hitting Beth Phoenix with the brick in her purse. So Miz ended up saying that it's time for everyone to stand up and sing happy birthday to Maurice at the top of their lungs. So the crowd was booing. So Miz was yelling at the crowd to stop booing and participate. So he starts singing to the music, and it was fucking awful. The Miz singing with that music was fucking awful. So then Edge ended up coming out. Edge came out along with his wife, Beth Phoenix. Edge ended up saying that this security won't help Miz this Saturday because he is a pissed off rated R superstar. And This is a pissed off Glamazon. Of course, referring to his wife, Beth Phoenix. And he ends up saying that they're coming to the ring to show why that's bad for Miz and Maurice. So Edge and Beth Phoenix end up rushing to the ring. They end up taking out the security. They toss the security into the ring posts and toss some of them into the ring steps. One you had go into the ring posts. So Edge and Beth Phoenix end up rushing into the ring. They were destroying the gifts, end up taking out security guards with some slams and some spears. Even Edge and Beth Phoenix did a Dudley Boyz 3D to one of the security guards. So first the Usos end up using it, and now Edge and Beth Phoenix start using the 3D. So Miz and Maurice end up yelling from ringside. Edge ended up powerbombing a security guard through the table where the cake was. And Edge and Beth end up posing in the ring. And that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, this segment was absolutely cringe and fucking awful. This was god awful. This could have been your bathroom break here, or you could have just changed the channel after we saw the Mysterios and the Street Profits, and Monday Night Raw should have just ended right there for you guys. This whole Maurice birthday extravaganza was fucking terrible. But overall, Monday Night Raw was a in-the-middle show, a so-so show tonight. You know, good wrestling, and everything else just meh, in my opinion. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Be sure to check out my previous video that I uploaded today. I forgot to mention, I did a movie review of The Running Man, which stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Maria Conchita Alonso, Richard Dawson. If you guys haven't checked out my review of The Running Man, definitely go check it out. Really enjoyed the film. Very fun 80s action film. So check out my review of that if you guys haven't seen it. And there will be the Dynamite review this Wednesday. It's Beach Break. Looking forward to the show. And it's going to be a good show on Wednesday. So until then, see you all for AEW Dynamite Beach Break this Wednesday.